Commissioner Dunn, would you mind saying a prayer?
Sure. Everyone bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing us all together and giving us all safe passage to this facility, and we ask that you give safe passage to everyone on their way home. Lord, I want to thank you for giving us the wisdom and the knowledge and giving us brain cells to be able to decipher all the information that's thrown at us. And I ask that you give us the knowledge that we need to make the right decisions. But I also want to say, Lord, that I ask that you kind of watch over all those families that have been devastated recently. Families in Washington, D.C., the family in Pennsylvania, the child that mother and the crew that was helped, and also several of the other areas that we have found in our nation that have had trouble and destruction. And we ask that you give them discomfort, Lord, because right now they're going through a lot of trouble. I also want to thank you, Lord, for all the people in our community, in our county, that give us safety in our law enforcement, our EMS, all of those people in this room, our elected officials. Everyone tries very, very hard to look out for each other and for our constituents. I just want to praise you, Lord, and thank you, God, for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Motion for approval agenda. Motion by Commissioner Carr, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Approval of the minutes. Got a motion? Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Klein. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Recognition of the public. Call your name. Please come up and state your name and address for the record. We'll have 5 minutes. Mr. Jim Lang. Latimer, 1578 Latimer Lane, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Here to speak about the Brown House. Commissioner, finally, may I offer my condolences to the loss of your mother. I'm sorry to hear about that. We're here to meet again to discuss the house that keeps rolling down the road here. And our family, as I've told y'all before, it goes back to originally being built by Charles Latimer, who's an ancestor of mine. He's the son of Jonathan. That house is a tremendous historical piece of property. It has some tremendous historical ties to the founding of the country, the settlement of Tennessee. There's a lot of history in that house, and it's a house that deserves to be preserved. Mr. Brown left a tremendous gift to the county when he contributed to the technology fund and left money to keep the house up and keep the house preserved. It was 8 years ago. We seem to be going back and forth and spinning our wheels and trying to get things settled with this house. It's something that we need to get done sooner rather than later, because the longer a house sits empty and nobody's in it or nobody's doing anything to it, it'll just continue to deteriorate. And that house is 200 plus years old. It's not going to get any better unless we do something to it. So I think we need to address it and all get together and get something done to preserve this house for future generations in Sumner County. And thank you for listening to me. Next up is Mr. Tommy Latimer.
I'm Tommy Latimer, 264 Hester Road, Fort. Jim and Lee are off things goes. I can't really tell you. His great-great-granddaddy built the house. Great-great-great-granddaddy. My fourth great-granddaddy was a brother. They came here in 1790, and the house was built between 97 and 1827. I think early in that time period. Because he had 5 kids at the time he built the house, a large property. So I don't think he lived under a sycamore tree. I don't know what's going on with the house. This has been dragging on for a while now. I've been to several meetings. I think if you're hearing me, when things is a friend of mine suggested that we form a nonprofit LLC to assist with the house. I don't know if that's feasible or not. A friend of mine suggested that, said he would pay for it. So, thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Mike. All right, next up is Miss Cindy McLaurin. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Cindy McLaurin. I live at 102 Chillicothe Trail in Hinsdale. I've lived next door to the Brown Farm, for 38 years now, I think. We raised our kids there. This is dragging on way too long. And I can point my finger. I know who to blame. I don't know why. It's got the wheel. The wheel. If I run a wheel today, if I passed away, would it be a good wheel? Would people stand behind it? This wheel specifically said $500,000 was to go to the house. It was locked in when a man passed away back in 2017 with the educational fund. I've got the bill right here if anybody wants to read it. I've already read it like 1,000 times, so everybody else knows what it says. And then I've got the original budget that was produced to us. We'll be coming to meetings for months. And it's just, everybody's just spinning their wheels and spinning their wheels. There's people that should be in charge of this. I've seen them here maybe one time, twice at the most. The budget, the project budget for the park, for the Grandeur Park, that is from Mr. Brown, added up to $1.25 million. There's items listed in the project budget, not one about the house, not one. Let's go back to the wheel. The wheel specifically states $500,000 is to be used on the house. And it's not in the budget anywhere. And I'm so disappointed. Not with y'all. And let me get to this. There was an email going around, and I will mention this, because I'm not afraid to. If anybody knows me, they know that I'm not afraid to. And I'm not going to mention any names. But I tell you one thing, if these were my kids, if there was an email like this going around, I would be one disappointed mother. He pointed fingers specifically at this group of commissioners and downgraded them. A couple of the words that he said about these commissioners were, this is just one more of your gotcha politics by you and Mr. I'm sorry, I can't say that. Your tiny group of commissioners has worked to kill a park. They didn't know about the park. They didn't know about the money. It was in somebody else's hands. The verbiage, the communication was never given to them. They have worked harder, this commission, and like I said, we've been coming for months now. This is the hardest working commission I have ever seen. Specifically, several people sitting at those tables fight every single month for the citizens, for us. And they're ignored. And then you get an email like this, and it's just trash. And one of the remarks that he said was, I will be happy to buy you a large mirror for you both to ogle yourselves. That is so wrong on so many levels. And he says, your tiny group is focused on delaying any more on building of the park. Building of the park. It's always about the park. Nobody said there wasn't any verbiage about how big, how grand the park was supposed to be. It's about the house. Mr. Brown got millions and millions of dollars. And all he wanted was his house to be preserved. That's all he wanted. And it's been completely ignored, except for this group right here, which fights every single month to get the money appropriated where it should go. And that's been ignored. Every single month, as a citizen, yes, I'm upset. Because, number two, I live next door to the farm, and I see the house. And I'm thinking to myself, Mr. Brown, if you're looking down, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this has ever gotten this far, because I know this is not what you wanted. This was not in. They have not done anything that's in your will. And I'm not talking about y'all. And I'm not talking about you. Because you guys are the best. Every single one of you. There's a few that just amaze me every single month. And I just leave this place thinking, oh, I'm so proud of them. I am so proud of them. But that too, then they get an email like this, and it's just like, God, why is there so much hate? Hate, hate, hate. Just get the part done and work on the house. Work on the house. Help Mr. Brown and the Latimers in your thoughts. Not the part. The house. After the house is done, now we can discuss the part. And it doesn't have to be, oh, let me tell you, and I'm almost finished. I'm wrapping it up. Let me quote what somebody said. Quote, unquote. Well, Liberty Creek campus will be my legacy. I'm not going to tell you where it came from, but you can imagine. And I'll just stop there with that. I want to thank every single one of you for everything that you do. Every single one.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I just want to correct something. It's not against our rules to mention things that are in public comments. That was our director of schools, Scott Langford's derogatory email. Just a public record.
One second. Thank you for mentioning that. I was going to mention it if you did. That's my report. Mr. Clark, you are next.
Michael Clark, 102 Kyoto Trail. That's my wife. I don't think I can say anything much more than what she said, other than she's totally right. This has gone on way too long. I know, we're waiting on Vanguard. I just can't imagine a company that big can be that slow, and especially not give out at least some type of information. I don't know, I've never dealt with them. But I can tell you this, I don't have any money, but if I did, when I die, I wouldn't leave it in Sumner County. There's no way. It's just, this has been handled so poorly. The previous administration, they hid it. I really think that's where it started. It was hidden, and was put there thinking that no one was ever going to find out about it. It would all be done, and it'd be over with, and then what are they going to do? At the last elections, a new group came in, and they started looking, and they started bringing things to the attention that you guys, or most of you guys, it just baffles me that this can't be taken care of and be taken care of correctly. That email she's talking about, as Mr. Jones said, you know, that's from Scotland, that is the most, I mean, I wrestled for 4 days on how to respond to that when I read it. You know, the enemy got a hold of me and told me I needed to just sit there and write the nastiest, dirtiest email that I could think of. And that's why I waited 4 days, and I came back very, very lightly with what I was feeling, and I'm still feeling. And she is correct. If one of our children had done that, she'd have, I wouldn't have wanted to been them, let's put it that way. And I just can't believe that someone in the position that Mr. Langford has, that he would attack. That's something you'd see on a playground with a bully attacking. It's just not right. But you know, there's nothing we've done past. Let's move forward. But let's, Mr. Mayor, please continue to work, try to get this taken care of, and then get the money switched over. I'm not sure what it looks like once the money is turned over to the county. That's going to have to be another discussion. But you know, it's got to be turned over, gotten turned over first before anything else can move forward. But I mean, I really appreciate everything y'all try to do. I know you're hamstrung when you get into the other in the main chamber in there. There's a group that it don't matter what you want, they got to question everything. Everything is you're out to get them, and you know, if you're of a certain group, we're just going to ignore you anyway. So, but please, y'all continue to work and help them get this straightened out before long.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mr. Kevin Baker.
Kevin Baker, 424 Amy Way Road. First of all, I'd like to echo the sentiments. This committee has done outstanding work, and let's just kind of reference it to what we saw during the time frame when we were building the new judicial center. That General Ops Committee that was in charge of that whole project met, I think, twice that entire year. Keep that in mind, $100 million, and they met twice a year. You guys have done more work in 1 month than they did in an entire year, so keep that in perspective. Regarding, you got a lot on your plate today. The opioid abatement committee, I wholeheartedly support that effort. I mean, you see what's going on in this world today. That's one way to just help people that need it. And if we're supposed to do anything Christian like that, the kind of work we need to do. I look forward to attending that meeting and seeing what kind of work gets done there, because I think that's really good stuff. Regarding the Latimer, or the Brown House, in that email, I've got a couple of fun house mirrors at home I think the author might use of that email. I'll bring him at the next meeting so he can stand in front of him and judge the size of his head and body. But I was just appalled when I read that. But this has gone on way too long, and you can only come to the conclusion that the people that are controlling this don't want this to move forward. They want to see this house fall into disrepair so they can put together the park that they wanted, but nobody else in this county wanted. And Mr. Brown didn't want it. And we're going to take this to the next level. You'll be hearing from me soon. Regarding State Road 386, those improvements for $17 million, $10 million out of the county, $7 million from Gallatin, what does Westmoreland care about that they should be spending tax dollars for that interchange? Other than it's like taking a restriction off of a sewer line. Guess what happens downstream when you take that restriction off the sewer line? Drive up 109 now and you see the little anthills that are being built by Gallatin. You take that restriction away by funding this thing, you're going to have nothing but an open sewer line, and Sumner County is going to turn into one big housing project. Mark my words. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baker. That concludes public comments. For the chairman, I have none. Report of the finance director. All right. Chairman, item A, updates on building construction for policy see, I know you guys should have a handout, about capital projects, update here, to reference these policies, so, okay, go ahead.
So for the archive group, last week we ended up getting the contract executed as of this morning. They started the demo on the roof, so that's in the works. It's supposed to be completed around the 28th of this month, barring any weather issues. Westmoreland EMS, we're still waiting on some of the permits. We've got the notice to proceed done, and there's still a little perk issue going on there, but I think that's getting worked out. Oak Grove, the volunteer fire department, kind of in the same boat. We had waiting the permits, notice to proceed executed. The water tap is having to go through a couple of their committee meetings in Portland due to they're not allowing new water taps. So it's going through the whole process. It's already got its first reading done, and it's supposed to be fine after the next month, second reading. The Brown House, as all of you know, me and Commissioner Klein walked it early in the middle of January. There's a couple of places that the contractor needs to gain access to, and we'll get a better idea of what needs to be done. I also provided a PowerPoint with a few photos with it, so you guys can kind of see what we looked at while we were there. There's a few notes on there as well.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to interrupt and ask questions and make comments along the way of this report if we need to?
When it comes to the Brown House, I'd like to wait until we get to the old business and talk about this.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And the TDIC grant, that money was actually returned today. So that's out of the picture now. So we don't have that money. We're having to do it. The parking garage, as far when me and Commissioner Klein walked it, most recently there was some painted rectangles. We inquired about that, and the mayor is having some people go ahead and label the garage. So that is what that is.
So parking garage is
Currently being in the works on
all the sides that we've been talking about for a little while. Okay.
doing little levels for each of them.
Was that done by the schools?
We're
talking about the courthouse.
So we were inquiring for the schools, and when we went to go take pictures of the areas, we noticed that there were already blue rectangles that were recently painted. So we reached out to the mayor, and he said that he's already having somebody do all the labeling of each floor. So
Great idea, but not needed anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to have the schools do our project, do the painting on it, so not needed anymore.
the Franklin Street stormwater, we did the public advertise starting last Thursday. On the 13th is our bid opening, and then I've requested from the architect that they give us the scores for the bids within 30 days. We can go ahead and get that rolling. So we should know more here in the next couple weeks on that. The courtroom build out, that I'm sure we'll talk about here a little bit later. I've reached out to ESA, which was the contractor that did the courthouse itself. I talked with Wendell Brown, and we went back and forth a little bit. We talked about the issues that they had with the contract previously in October, and I talked with our legal team here a little bit about it. I sent them the changes that we would want to make and requested some things from them. Wendell asked me a couple of questions at the end of last week. At this time, they're still reviewing on their end whether they want to proceed with us. They'd like to work with us, they just don't want to risk their relationship with the county in a bad way. So they're trying to make sure that they're covered on their end. So I'm hoping to hear back by the end of this week on whether they want to move forward.
Commissioner Jones, you have a question?
What does that mean, risk their relationship with what, with Sumner County?
Yeah. So
We are Sumner County, like.
Well, I guess there were liability issues that they were concerned with in the last contract negotiations. So they didn't want to risk their company and that relationship saying, no, we just don't want to work with you. So.
Did this have anything to do with the points of failure with the old contracts that our seen any issues with that.
I don't believe that. I think it was just a little bit of an interpretation on both sides.
Well, so that led to my next question, which was there anything we could do about the failures in those contracts where we don't own the designs and things like that? Was there any movement made to where we could fix that or recover some of that to get those designs, or we just out that money?
So that's the next course action. If they don't want to move forward, that's the next talk I'm going to have with them about taking ownership of that and these plans.
How to do it and what it would take to do it.
If we get a written statement from them or something along those lines, actually like releasing the permission and copyrights to us, then we could do that. But I believe since we paid so much money for that, I feel like they'll say yes, here, we'll release those.
Mr. Chairman, I want to clarify my words. I say failure in the fact that most companies that I know that negotiate multi-million-dollar contracts own the plans to what they have designed, and the fact that we didn't do that and it's potentially looming over us for the continuation of this project really bothers me, and I want to hear several members of this committee that we could have to pay for designs that we've already paid for once. So that's why I say failure.
We're going to get an agenda item, so why don't we want to discuss that item, do this item B.
And to answer
I just want to ask that question, if that's where it's going next, that's fine. I'm anxious to hear how it evolves. So you can keep on going. I just want to make sure that was going to get asked.
And to that point, going forward, we've already had conversations, like going forward, we're going to ensure that our contracts state that we own it.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Klein,
I was just going to say, I know that one of the issues with Mr. Brown, I think his name, Wendell Brown, was he felt like we weren't paying him in a timely manner, so a lot of that had to do with money. But I believe he was paid everything.
Couple swing projects up in the northern part of the county. Portland projects are under construction. The Westmoreland project was bid in December, and then all the documentation was submitted to us in the end of January. The Portland and water lines for Oak Hill are under construction, but they're still waiting on the tank to be finished. I know that is on back order for right now, so we're just waiting on that. As far as the Westmoreland bid, there was questions on whether their bid met the ARPA standard. We actually have a meeting with the consultant on Wednesday to further investigate that and kind of move forward with that, whether they need to rebid or if they're good. So we'll know more on Wednesday about that.
Is this the same project that Gallatin heads up a $30 million, or is this something different?
So under the state water infrastructure grant, this is the safe water drinking grant that is with Portland and also is with Westmoreland. So they are actually sub-recipients of our grants for that project. So Gallatin's not in that scope at that part, but Gallatin did take ownership when we gave them $9 million with our ARPA funds to work on safe water infrastructure.
And there was a $20 million grant that was part of it.
I'd have to go back and clarify, and we will get you an update at that point in time.
Okay.
Is that, so it was $9 million, I guess maybe leverage $1 million. The county gave $10 million is what the commission said 3 times total for that. But this is part of the county. This is strictly the county's portion of the ARPA funding of that $10 million. They say 9, but it was 10 because they used $1 million to leverage against their $20 million grant, I think, or whatever. So, so that's why I say 10 million. So that's clarifying. Does that make sense? It's our portion of the ARPA that we gave for water lines.
Right. And Gallatin owns the grant for the $20 million.
Correct.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it's the same project or not.
It is. I mean, it's all tied together.
Right.
But this is just our portion of it that we are having control and oversee, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a request that in the future, just on acronyms, please spell out what they are. Not everybody knows that. I deal with so many acronyms today, I could inundate with people with ones that they don't know what they mean either, but safe water, IG, what is
State water infrastructure grants.
state water, okay, gotcha.
And then our broadband grant that we've got going on, we've had a couple meetings with Portland and our consultant. We're in the middle of drafting an RFP from scratch, and, we've been working with the consultant in Portland on that. We're hoping by mid-March that's put up to bid.
I guess I have a question about Portland specifically, because I mean, that was a $5 million broadband that the county contributed towards broadband.
This is a different grant. This is $100,000 from Economic and Community Development that's focusing on 2 of the parks, as well as the Senior Citizen Center, and then we also have 2 focuses being on Westmoreland Library and the Gallatin Public Library.
Okay, from the $100,000.
From the $100,000.
That's not $5 million broadband.
Right.
From ARPA.
Just the $100,000.
Mr. Chairman, could we jump back to the Hendersonville Health Department? Where are we at in construction? Have they demolished the building?
Trying to remember off the top of my head, my apologies. Because we just accepted last month an amendment to increase their budget. And at that point in time, they were about to, but I have not followed up with Hal on it. So we will get you additional information and follow up with you on it.
Okay.
And then the Hollows Drainage Improvement Project, coordination of utility conflicts. I know that Marshall gave us an update the other day on it, that they were working on moving all those lines prior to the placement of the pipe and drainage structures. And then on the back page, we have a breakdown for the Millersville EMS trailer rental, and then the breakdown of the utilities being paid for at the old courthouse. And I've got a written down breakdown of those numbers specifically to each category, but those are the overalls for the old courthouse.
Do we have an estimated completion date for the Hollows project? I know Commissioner Miller's constituents would probably be interested in that. You could find out.
Single phone.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner John.
Under Millersville EMS trailer rental, that's for year 24, is $7,160. And FYI 25, now I don't know if that means June, okay, that makes more sense. It's a lot more money than it is.
Right.
It's not 1 month.
It's a year trailer.
And then at your request, I also included a courthouse breakdown of everything that's been paid so far.
I was going to ask,
It has the garage and the jail pod on here as well. The garage, they have requested retainage on, we're waiting on the approval for release for that, and then their final billing for the courthouse, they're supposed to be submitting.
and this is just principal, because I know that includes the interest line. We had asked for this last month, you guys we can discuss next month again if you want to, but, just what the total levy was that we defined so far. Any questions? All right, we will, so, item, I guess, technically B, I guess we covered all those things, item A, B, and C.
I don't know if I want to, but on next month, we'll kind of run through it all as just a sort of.
Yeah, we can do that.
This is great, Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
All right. Portland County Mayor.
Yes, sir. Let's see, under old business, item 9A, spent an hour on the phone with Vanguard today to no avail. The last comments with them is that they promised to send me an email today with a full update of where they are and when they'll get it done. I never got that email. I will be back on the phone with them at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be more than happy to put it on speakerphone if anybody wants to show up. But I'll call them again at 9 o'clock in the morning and see if we can have any luck at that time. Item B, marking and signage. We've got the floors labeled in the parking garage. That was a project that Mr. Shamrock alluded to. Let's see, the water leak at the old courthouse, of course, that's been fixed, and we did get an adjustment on the bill. I don't have the exact dollar amount with me, but we did get a water adjustment on the bill. Security cameras in the parking garage, that project's completed. So we're in the process of finishing up all the billing on that. And we'll be contracting with the Millersville EMS station here very soon to get that redrawn, and they're pretty confident that's going to fall way below $250,000. So hopefully we'll have some good numbers to come back to general operations with that project. That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Save any discussion on these items when we get to them. All right, item 9A, old business. Have a motion for discussion.
Motion, good, second.
Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, floor is open. Commissioner Jones.
I've got 4 questions. Regarding what he was saying, Mr. Mayor was talking about Van Road. I had asked what the name of the individual was that was the financial director that you were speaking with, and you offered that to everyone. But my question, I'm a little bit perplexed because since I haven't been on the committee a long time, I've been listening and hearing what you're talking about the money and that it's in the Vanguard account. And that the trustees had to be changed on the contract. Am I correct about that? Has that been finished? Has the trustees' contract been changed?
Talking about the signatures for
Yes. Yes.
signatories. That's a great question for the mayor. Mr. Mayor, do you mind?
Have the signatures been changed on the contract?
No, on the trust. That's what we're trying to do right now, is change it from the previous two to the second two. That's what they're having difficulty doing. Once that's completed, then the request for the funds will be made. That'll be made in the same phone call. Once they say, we have got the names and I'm authorized. Right now, I'm not authorized to withdraw any funds.
So that brings me to my next question. Last month, when we were talking about, they were giving a report, financial said, they said that the school system had taken money out of the account for the technology over at the school. So I was confused about how they could draw money out if they weren't, neither one of them were on the signature of EDAC. How can they draw money out when they don't have signature for it? Who's making that decision over there as far as how they draw that money out?
Because that was an inaccurate statement. There was no money withdrawn out of that account.
It was 105?
It was withdrawn, but my understanding was from the fiscal year prior. Correct. Right when, he basically was done right before he walked out the door, is my understanding.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clear up. And then my second question is, when I have been out to this area, to Liberty, and there's a picture here, and there's no way to get, that I know of, the driveway has been obstructed with a culvert. So if there was a fire at the house, how the heck is the fire truck going to be able to get up there and put the house fire out? Because it's a log cabin, it would be burnt to the ground. So how did that get approved to obstruct a driveway with a sidewalk and a culvert with the road? I mean, that's concerning to me because it was almost like it was somebody's mind that house was gonna, it just seemed a little weird to me that happened, and that is seriously a emergency issue for a truck to get in there. Even if there was an injury out there at that house, somebody was out there got injured or needed, an ambulance, there's no way, you would have to go through the ditch or whatever, or I don't know how you get back there unless you took a four-wheeler, but, or walk. That's a long way to have an EMS inspector go out there. But who in the world approved that? and it seems like it's all part of this, I don't wanna say, I'm just gonna say it, I say it like it is anyway. It seems a little, I won't say corrupt, but I wanna say, it sounds a little bit under the table and plans that they were gonna do this, and they, by God, they're gonna do it, and they'll try to hold off and wait this out until we're all gone or I'm dead. I don't know, but it doesn't seem right. That culvert is sitting in front of the driveway, that's an emergency access to that house. And so, I don't understand how that happened, and I wanted to bring that up. That was one of my questions about the Brown house, but I would get a lawyer and go after Vanguard because unless, let me tell you this, unless, Mr. Mayor, you create an account with Vanguard as a trust, a Brown House trust, you create it in the county's behalf, and Vanguard can transfer the money in Vanguard, you open it at Vanguard. Vanguard could then transfer the money into that account because we have an account with them. See what I'm saying?
Well, that doesn't make sense.
What makes sense?
No, what makes sense is them to transfer the names. Once they transfer the names, then I will liquidate the account, get the check, and hand that over to the county. That's what's gonna happen as soon as Vanguard will change those names. Now, there is nothing preventing this body from going ahead and appropriating $500,000 and starting the project now. And then when the money comes back, you can replenish the capital funds.
Do you have a copy of the old account, of the old Vanguard contract? Do we have a copy of that?
I've got a copy of all the statements.
No, I'm talking about the contract that the county and the school has with Vanguard,
For the education trust.
an education trust contract with Vanguard to keep the money in there and invest, because you have to, that Vanguard has got to give you a report. They're required by FEC, whatever, they have to give a report.
If anybody, I'm interrupting, because you might know you missed a lot of backstory. We've already covered some of this.
Okay.
And we've also, the information's been available in the law record. Everything you're asking is available, it's been available in his office, as far as books and binders. Just to answer the question, Mr. Lauder, I know you raised your hand for a second. I don't want to frustrate you.
It's just, the cleanest way to explain this is, the funds were distributed, this is how I see it, research and everything. The funds were distributed. The funds were, as an entirety, deposited into this trust. So what's trying to happen now is somebody to have the authority to actually go into that trust, that technology trust, carve out the $500,000 that should have gone to the county, and then make a disbursement from that trust to the county for that $500,000, which will be in a separate account.
Plus interest.
Yes, which will be in a separate account that the finance director would have established for this. So that's where we're at. If I'm missing anything.
Yeah, that's not entirely accurate either. It is in a separate account. So we will be able to shut down that account. There's 3 accounts. You add them up, it's about $510,000. We will liquidate those accounts. Okay, and then there's another account that's got a little over $7 million in it. That's a trust account. Okay, that account will stay intact. The interest will be drawn off of that account for the school system, per the agreement. But the other money market accounts, those will be liquidated, and that will equal a little over $500,000. The interest and everything's attached with it will go to the county.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the members of the trust knew that about this $500,000 that was separate and deposited themselves?
I would say the original ones do, yeah. When I took office, I learned of it.
And that's not my point, but, so the funds were recognized as a separate, that's what I'm understanding, the funds were recognized as separate for the sole purpose of the split up pursuant to the will. So I don't know how we've gotten here.
I looked at a lot of documentation I'm not seeing the accounts you're talking about, so, there's a lot of stuff and several of us looked at it, so I
It's the same document that I turned over to the attorney.
So, I've not seen any of this about different accounts. My understanding is everything's commingled, so it's the first I've heard that wasn't. So I guess for 8 years, it's been separated, kind of news to everybody. So, but my question is, I guess, when that account was created, because I just don't believe that has always been separated out, my understanding. So, Mr. Gill.
The mayor has offered to be on speakerphone with whoever wants to be in the room to ask these questions. We could possibly ask these questions of Vanguard or get the mayor to ask, or if he gives permission for somebody to ask in that room, we could ask these questions. I too would like to know when that second account was created. Was it at the inception of taking the $8 million at the beginning? Because we've been asking this question for 2 years on if the accounts are separate, where the money is it commingled, and I want to know when it was known. If it was known by the prior trustees only, then I can't fault the mayor for not knowing that until recently. But if he's known it since he came into the administration, then that's a little disheartening, because this committee's been trying to get to the heart of that matter for going on 2 years now, and that would help. And then the second question, I want to know, and I'll address it to you, but it's probably more for the mayor, is when any one of us calls Vanguard, they will not talk to anybody that is not authorized on the account. Correct. How is he able to talk to them if he's not authorized on the account, if he's not a trustee? I want to know in what way, shape, or form he is authorized to talk, or if he's been able to talk about this separate account this whole time. Why have we not gotten any information about this separate account during all these question times?
I don't have an answer for your question. Mr. Mayor, do you have an answer for that?
I've got my information submitted, so they've got my documents in there. That's why they allow me to talk to them.
But you're not, okay, so you just recently submitted it?
Was it about 2 months now? And we had the documents submitted earlier on it that they said were inaccurate, that our CPA submitted, and then we submitted more documents.
So this $510,000 that you're talking about, that is not in the Education Technology Trust, it is in a separate account that's not a trust, correct?
I don't know exactly what type. It's like
You said money market account.
Like that, yeah.
Who are the account holders on that?
That's under the trust as well.
So the trustees are still in charge of both accounts anyway, so it might as well be commingled because the same people hold it. It's inaccessible by anybody but the trustees, so it's as good as intermingled. And what is the third account? You said there's 3.
I don't know about third account.
You said there are 3 accounts.
No, the 500,000, it looks like it's in 3 accounts. I haven't been able to talk to them about that yet because I'm not officially on it.
So it's split between
So all I can do is talk to them about trying to get the names changed.
The
And then I
500,
talk to them about the accounts.
the 500,000 is split between 3 accounts.
Yeah, all the documents are in the attorney's office.
I've seen the documents. They're in like 12 notebooks and they're like 3 inches thick, so you can bury a lot of information that way and make it inaccessible by just a needle in a haystack. But just getting pointed questions answered would have been the way to do this. Somebody that understood what was going on 2 years ago to answer these questions. But to find out that the money is between 3 accounts, I want to know why, because it was to be in a restricted account held by the county. That further mixes it up as to where it wasn't supposed to be. Why is it in 3 accounts? What did
It may be 1 account under 3 allocations.
I don't even know what that means.
Here's the facts, is that until the mayor and the director of schools are signatories on that account authority, there's only limited information that they're gonna get, if that is true. That's with anything. I deal with this as a power attorney for my mother, deal with her account after my father died. And so I've had turn in that paperwork, and it's never taken me more than 7 days to get it back and get everything changed, and then I can start asking questions. So I've done this on multiple financial institutions, including Vanguard. So for me, from personal experience, it took me less than 7 days to get my POA approved to their legal department. It wasn't a problem for me.
But Mr. Chairman, I'm asking, since the mayor offered, if somebody from this table can be there tomorrow to find out answers to these questions. How long it's been in that separate account? Why is it in 3 separate accounts? I cannot be there.
I can't be there tomorrow.
I work a regular job. Is there any way this table can comprehend finances that can
Mr.
ask?
Young, would you like to be there tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Can you do that?
I have to be in nursing home at 9 o'clock. What time do you mean,
9 o'clock.
Is there anybody from the finance department that could be there to ask these questions?
No, because I was lucky enough to get jury duty tomorrow, so.
Who wants you guys? Dustin or Scott? I want questions answered.
If you will submit questions in writing that you want specifically stated and worded the way you
Sure.
want to, and email it to me by tomorrow morning, either Scott or myself will ask those questions directly, and then we will report back at the next meeting.
Is that okay, Mr. Mayor? Okay, and so,
All right. Good enough.
yeah.
My
Commissioner,
final,
I had one more.
did that answer your questions on some of these things or no?
well, it's still a little bit in the cloud, it's funny. But
Oh.
because I know a lot about financial investments. I'm just waiting to hear what I have to hear, but I'm more worried too about the house having blocked access.
Well, we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Oh.
We haven't moved on that far yet. You're talking about like plans, we're not there yet. I don't know, if it'd be appropriate, Mr. Walter, I have a citizen that's been here every month that would like to sit in on this, so is there any issue with that?
Well, you'd have to suspend the rules, but.
No, I'm not talking about speaking, that would like to be, go tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to give a call.
I thought it was an open invitation, I don't.
So, if anybody wants to come, 9 a.m. The county mayor's office, in this, conference room.
Mr. Chairman, I also would like to just, before this account sounds like it's probably gonna get closed, I would like there to be some kind of a audit, look at how it got to be this way. Why is it split between 3 separate accounts? One chunk of money that had a specific purpose, a very specific purpose, was split into 3 separate accounts. Like why, when did that happen, whose authority, why split up? Was it to invest and make the most of it? Why after 8 years is there only $10,000, that's accrued after $500,000? Is that the interest we're talking about? Because I would think it'd be higher than that. But I'll submit these questions and to you later. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, those would be good questions to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, before you move on, I had a question just about the property that,
We're not
Mr.
moving.
Jones brought up. We're gonna get there.
So, yeah, I do want to talk about the Latimer Brown House.
It's just about the insurance. Since he brought the safety concern, is there
So, any more questions about the $500,000 transfer? I guess,
No.
the mayor's gonna call again tomorrow at 9. The finance department's gonna be there with any questions you have, Commissioner Jones on your behalf, and citizens are gonna go as well, to hear what the status is, and why Vanguard is having so much trouble doing this. Or why they can't get it done, because it should take 17 days instead of 2 months. That's a problem. So, all right, we'll find out some more answers tomorrow night. We will move on. I do want to discuss, we do have a report. I'll turn it over to Vice Chairman Klein about his report on going to the Brown House with Mr. Shamrock, as well as what is, he sent this over this morning, and I didn't get it out to you guys. I emailed it out this morning. And have it here printed right here for as well. So if you have a chance to read the email, you can give us a summary, Mr. Klein, as far as what you guys want to discuss, and Mr. Shamrock, have you guys discussed
It's the document dated 1/27/25, and Mr. Shamrock and I met with a specialist in historic building named Chris Coker, and we walked through everything that we could get through and see. We went up in the attic, we walked in every room, and discussed in quite a bit of detail what needed to happen before we can even figure out what we're gonna do with the house, is we have to take away all of the floor coverings that, are covering the original wood floors. There's a lot of paneling inside the building that's covering up the actual original bones of the building. We did realize that the back original log wall has a major section pulled out of it. We won't, we wouldn't remove the back end, so all of that will be preserved. But the first thing that needs to happen is we need to be able to get to the original parts of the building, and that can only be done by taking out the paneling and the stuff, the ancillary walls and things that were put in after the fact. We talked about different people that could do that, but Mr. Coker has given us a great offer here. He said he would do all of the inside removal that needs to be taken away for him to properly assess the building for $815, which is next to nothing. And then he has to have access to the underside of the house. In order to do that, he has to pull off the duct transition that runs from the heating and air equipment outside the house that runs to the basement. That's the only access that we can find to the underside of the house. Now, when he pulls the carpet up, we may find that there's a hatch to the subfloor, but at this point in time, we wouldn't know where to begin. So he will remove that and haul off the HVAC equipment, which would no longer be in use. I would, with the authorization of this committee, I would go back and just ask him what it would cost to remove the sheet metal, which is going to be very, very little, so that he can get in there, close it off again after he's done, and not remove the HVAC equipment, because we don't know if we'll need it in the future. It does not look that old to me, so I think we could leave it in place. So we're probably talking about $1,000 to have Mr. Coker do it. I don't think our maintenance guys could do it that inexpensively, just knowing what we pay them and what their overhead and everything is. So once that's happened and he can see everything, then he can tell us where the original part of the building is, where the other structures, and maybe give us some ideas of timeline when they were built. And I told him that talking with the Latimer family, he might find out more things, and he said he'd be happy to do that. And then he will make recommendations based on what we want to do with the building. And because and he would give us prices to get it to that level. For instance, if we open it to the public like the Douglas Clark house is, he has to do certain things to make it, legal, up to code for people to come in on an ongoing basis. Yeah. If we're going to just leave it for special events like the bridal house, right, like the bridal house is, then he would do a different way, and he would give us prices on all of those options. So that's basically what the report says.
Could you give us a little background, I guess, Mr. Coker,
Mr. Coker has been doing things. He recently replaced and repaired some of the log cabins out at the Bledsoe Fort. He redid a house on, I guess it would be East Main Street, kind of over where we vote. At the church there. It's a little further on the left. It's a beautiful old house that he completely renovated the thing and sold it. He's working on a house that was built in the 1820s right now. He's repairing windows in it. He does all of this pretty much in Sumner County. And he's the best I know of for the work. I don't know if anybody else at the table knows who he is, but I can get a resume from him if you'd like to see that, and some of the projects that he's worked on in the county and outside the county. So if you want me to go ahead and get that, I can get that, and I can email it to everybody here at this table.
Yeah, that'd be great. I guess, so just to go over, thank you for putting this together, to get us started, because this is the first time that we've had access to this house, to bring somebody in, after quite a while. Pretty painful process after a couple months. So the recommendation basically is kind of first of all, before we can even get to any kind of planning or estimation, we've got to remove some of this to be able to then get in there, then to start the estimation process so that we can formulate a plan and then come up with an estimate and budget for what that plan.
After we decide what we want to do with the house, that's very important.
So we need to, basically, you're saying we need to get in there and look at some of these things to understand the structure of the house first, to then have some pathways for it. Plan A for the house, plan B for the house,
Right.
plan C for the house.
Right.
Based on the structure of the structural integrity, what's exactly there, what can be done, whether we want to go back to the original 1790 structure, or do you want to keep the 1960s brick facade that is not historical, which I don't think any of us would agree. I mean, this is going back to, I think everybody agrees this is going back to the 1790s,
Yeah.
1800s, as far as
Yeah. One of the big questions is how old is the kitchen area on the back? We don't know.
But you won't know until you get in there and start stuff.
Right.
So I guess, with the recommendation being, I guess, I'm thinking, is that we would need to make a motion to move this to, budget unless, Justin or, Scott disagree. We want some more information for this before we do that. I think it'd be, apropos for, obviously, a little bit more information about Mr. Coker, what he does, projects like, what's important, working on in 1800s house renovations and this type of work, dealing with these type of period homes would be great. His contact information, because I didn't see that in this. I would have liked to have seen that as well, but, at a minimum, really, I do like the idea of having somebody like him do this, since he does deal with historical homes, and really, doing historical homes and knowing, not haphazardly going in there and removing things in a way that would be beneficial to the camera.
I do have a couple concerns. One being just like Ms. Mary was talking about, there's no access to the house, and we don't want to ruin the school property at the same time, so I think that needs to be addressed as well before we move forward. Another thing is the request for an RFP, and based on the amount, if we would need a consultant architect to move forward.
I don't think you need a consultant architect to pull out some ductwork and family, but.
I think based on our purchase policy though, that
If it's under a certain,
Under $50,000,
they still have to have 3 bids. So, I mean, just saying Mr. Coker's doing that, we would still have to secure 2 additional bids and then work with our purchasing agent, Mindy, to make sure that we're following procurement rules. So at this point in time, we would still have to go back and make sure we're following our own purchasing policy.
So, Commissioner Klein.
Is the 3 bids required on something under $10,000? It is.
Yes.
Okay, so if it's $100, you need 3 bids for it. Okay.
And the only other caveat to the, statement about the architect is, if there is in fact structural integrity at issue, that the amount's not a factor, you've got to have one. So I don't know exactly how deep you want anybody to dive, but if they hit that wall, then we're gonna have to take that into account and revisit who's gonna do the work and possibly rebid everything.
Here again, we know nothing until we get rid of all the covering. We won't know what we're affecting structurally. We know that the paneling is not structural. So we pull out the paneling, we pull out the carpet, we can see what we've got there, and from there you can tell what's structural. And I'm guessing that any of those walls that are holding paneling are non-structural, but he's a builder, and whoever we would get out there, if we had to take 3 bids, they would be qualified to make that assessment. And if they weren't qualified, then we could talk about a structural engineer at that point.
There's a beam that was taken out. You look at the picture, in the bottom of the house, there's a beam that was removed as part of the old part of the house to make the stairwell. You can look at it and see there's a beam that was missing. So you,
Well, like Mayor Taylor said in the Board of Commission a couple years ago, you can build a pole barn for $20,000, or you can build a pole barn with an engineer and architect for $100,000. I guess the question is we're trying to make progress here, move forward. This is like estimate of work between $1,000 and $2,000. So I guess moving forward, if there's any other, I guess, renovation companies that would want that, historical renovations, I guess, what do we need to do as far as moving this forward? Because I don't want to sit here and kick it another month. I mean, because we just keep kicking the can down the road. So we need to make some traction. So what would be your advisement on the best way to get forward moving on this?
So moving forward, the advisement is if this is under our threshold, and I believe it's $15,000, then we would need the board to authorize either Scott or Mr. Klein to try to secure 2 additional bids and present it to the budget committee. That would be the first option. Number 2 is if it is over our threshold amount, then Scott would be working on an RFP to secure an architect and make it contingent upon the finance director's approval, as we would want to make sure we would want to get his approval moving forward on such a large project, since it could go up to $500,000.
But this is for the exploratory phase only, right?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're talking about having an architect just pull down panels. I don't.
Oh, he's taking that off the table.
Yeah.
I was taking that part off the table. Right now, it's just making sure we meet the threshold.
The 3 bids are to ensure we meet the.
Correct.
Don't go past the threshold.
Right. Or if it requires an RFP, then Scott would be working on the RFP to obtain somebody to do the minimal amount.
So are we talking about putting this out to bid and see how many?
We're going to try to get the 3 bids first.
Yeah, because I talked to 2 others and they don't have contractor's licenses, so.
So we would have to show our due diligence that we have reached out to others
Yeah.
in order to make sure that our procurement officer is happy and that we're following our own purchasing rules.
Okay. I would make a motion that we have Mr. Shamrock find 2 other bidders.
While I agree with the statement, and I'm fine doing it, I think somebody needs to, and probably the commission, get with the school board about access, because if we, from my understanding, the only property that house owns is that 1-ish acre around that house. And if you could start tearing up all the school's new trees that they got planted everywhere.
It's all part of the same property now, right?
Not from my understanding.
It's all one property.
It was a life estate, so once he passed
away,
away, it merged.
So even the property the house is on is.
It's co-owned.
It's co-owned, so we have access to it. We don't need to reach out to them, right? Somebody's out there working on it all the time anyway, so.
The school board's working on it all the time without our permission, so.
Yeah, I don't see why we have to ask the
I
question.
don't remember them coming and asking us to do anything on that property.
Well, my thing is we go to do exploratory work and those contractors tear up school property, then what? Because there's no way to the house.
They're not tearing up school property, they're tearing up county property. It's all county, it's co-owned, right? No, wrong on that? We're getting the permission.
But we're going way out of, we're just the way to get to the point, which is.
He's worried about having access to get there.
Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have to be done at some point in time, whether you wanna do it now or not.
It's not a permission thing though, right? That's what he's getting at.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be courteous to reach out and say, as co-owner, we're going out here to fix this access point and stuff, but not necessarily, no. I don't know of anything that's restrictive in that nature.
So, I guess your motion was to get,
For Mr. Shamrock to get 2 other prices.
because our goal is to fix the house.
Right.
Part of its property, it's right on our purview, it's our ownership.
Yeah.
So,
And Scott, you can use the proposal that Chris gets as a.
so is that, I guess, doing that and reporting back to us next month, having a.
Yes. So that's my motion.
I'll second it. Mr. Moss, seconded.
includes, to cover the access part of it, to get that handled, or research on how much it costs to get access put there, or?
I don't know if there's any access to have. We're getting off base in my opinion. We're out of bounds. This is just about, you can walk up there. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. Anybody on this county can go walk up in that house, you got access.
Right. He's talking about.
I'm talking about an
vehicles, though.
I know, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
It's not germane to the conversation, I think. So, I understand what Commissioner Janelle was talking about. I understand what Mr. Shamrock was talking about. It's talking about having access or learning somewhere to park. If you're gonna start, when you actually get to the renovation process, you're driving a truck in there and taking a dumpster and pulling out whatever and pulling out, and having that kind of access. But again, I don't remember seeing a vote or a resolution or a memo or permission from the school board to plant trees on the property that we also own. I'm just making a point.
Dig them up and move on next year.
Well, I've seen the trees, and they're not blocking access to the house. The trees are planted basically on this
Wetland.
If you look right here,
They surround the wetland.
these trees right here, that is basically just a marsh that's ranges. All this is just unbuildable, uninhabitable, inaccessible, unwalkable, undrivable land. And what they've done is planted like a ton of trees on each side of this to try to expand that, I would assume, to be able to soak up water and solve drainage problems. I don't have a problem with them doing that.
But I don't understand all the different species. There's more to it than that.
I'm just saying, but I've seen it, that's my assumption, is that there's trees, but that wouldn't be blocking access to get to the house, in my opinion. So, but they didn't ask our permission to plant those trees. So, we want to just keep on banging cymbals and making more political gamesmanship and grandstanding, as some unelected bureaucrats like to do. We can do that. Or, we have a motion to get the RFP or get the, for 3 bids, to do this minimal work, just to go in there to start the process of removing and hauling off the existing, paneling in there to expose everything so you can see it, and I guess remove and haul off the existing HVAC unit and lines in the house. That's what the recommendation was here.
Yeah.
So that's what basically.
I think we should get an alternate price of not removing it, just using the duct area to get access to it. We may want that HVAC unit, just to have some, air conditioning and heating so that we don't have rot inside the house.
Your motion, Commissioner Wallace is second, if he's okay, just, I don't know if we need to modify that, but just basically get it.
Yeah, no, I'll talk with Mr. Shamrock.
On the specifics of this, that's it.
Yeah. He'll get alternate prices on how to do that from all 3 bidders.
All right, we got a motion, we got a second, so we can start moving the ball forward before we even get to, and this is before we get to appropriating $500,000, because we don't know what we're needing, we don't know how much it's going to be, and we don't have the money, so there's nothing to appropriate yet. But we do need to make progress, and so somebody can get in there and tell us how much money we got to spend.
Right. Hopefully we'll have the $500,000 next month after we've got the 3 quotes, and then we can get going to work.
Any other questions? There's a motion by Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Moss. Any other discussion on moving forward? Is there any questions for you guys? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. The Latham House, obviously, keep that under old business.
This is gonna come back, or did you just say that?
We're going to keep this under old business, item A.
B's been taken care of, right?
B, has been taken care of as far as I'm concerned. Without objection, we're going to remove this from old business. Item C, I do have an email. Let me read you guys. It was sent to myself. My phone. So turn it off and give it to you in a minute, but I'll send that to you. Griffith, sent this to myself and, Commissioner Jones, who's the chairman of the opioid committee. It was a reference to the patient that was joined. Her email stated, our board of directors are currently discussing the acquisition of the 117 East Winchester Street property from the county and are working to put together an offer to present in March. We have held a couple of discussions with the opioid abatement committee regarding the possible use of opioid abatement funds to assist in the purchase of this property. I know the general operations committee will be discussing a possible joint meeting with the opioid abatement committee on March 13th and was wondering if it would make sense for this to be discussed at that meeting as it involves both committees. If this discussion could be added to that agenda, should the joint meeting happen, we would be happy to attend and present our vision for the property and new initiatives it will allow us to pursue. Otherwise, we will be prepared to present our offer at the general operations committee meeting in March. Thank you for your consideration of this and the work you've worked on. So, long story short, on this specifically, I know we've not gotten down to item A under new business about doing a joint and approve that. But if there's no objection, should we approve a joint meeting? I think it would be prudent to have her come and present if nobody objects to that. Okay, so I don't think we need to keep this old business for right now. I guess we'll see what happens unless you guys want to get this on the old business. We'll remove this for right now.
Which one are you moving?
C, we're going to remove for right now because we're going to be pushing it forward to a joint meeting that we then put back under the agenda under new business based on things that might change or might not change. I think it would be prudent for this. There's no objection. All right. Item D is discussion for the vacated Gallatin Square, the old courthouse, 100 Public Square. Mr. Klein, I think you had asked to keep this on, and you and Mr. Shamrock went out and you got access to that, and that was, I printed this off for you guys as well.
Yes.
Mr. Klein emailed that to me this morning or this afternoon sometime. I emailed it out to you as well. Mr. Klein, I'll turn it over to you. Make a motion for discussion.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Commissioner Jones, the second on that. All right, Mr. Klein.
Okay, we went over to the building and we met the head of maintenance, who's a man named Robert Gann. And we walked the basement and all the floors. One of the things that we did is Mr. Gann had a laser or electronic tape measure, and we determined the building inside to inside is about 64 by 84, which is 5,400 square feet per floor. Now, that's a really rough amount because when you assess square footage, you only do half a stairway per floor.
You mean 5,400 or 6,400?
What did I say? 5,400 is what I meant to say. So, it's a lot of square footage. It's, 20,000 square feet in that building. And so, walking around there are a lot of fixtures, desks, chairs, benches. Some of the stuff is attached to the floor, some is not. But the first thing we probably need to do is do an inventory of all of that and get it up on the Sumner County, what do I call it? Surplus. And see if we can get it out to other departments. Once that's done, we can figure out what to do with the rest of the fixtures that are in there. Next thing that needs to happen is it needs to be cleaned out, not unlike the Brown House. The carpets where they exist need to go away. There are ad hoc walls that were built that should just go away because we need to get down to the original building. I would recommend that the T-bar ceilings, the grid and tiles all disappear. They're old, they're ugly, they will not be used in the future. And so once we've cleaned out the building, now there is one really beautiful courtroom in there, and I suggest we don't mess with that because until we know what we're going to do with the building, that may be kept and used as something. But it's in such beautiful shape, I wouldn't mess with it at this point in time. And then once it's all cleaned out, I think at that point we do hire an architect who would tell us the best and highest use for that building.
One of the commissioners tonight talked to me about this, Commissioner Sullivan, and he suggested that there are a few different departments that we are renting square footage for right now around the city of Gallatin, and we should put them in here, especially since some of them have to do with legal. And I asked him to give me a list of departments that he thought would best fit in there. But that would be one of the things that we would talk to the architect, who would decide highest and best use, best return on dollar if we were to rent it out. Just somebody we can, again, look at Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. And so the first thing that needs to happen is we need to get all the removable fixtures and furniture on the Sumner County surplus site. And that would be my motion. I guess he said that loud enough for
we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? I guess, I'll wait for that second.
Actually, let me add to that motion, if Mr. Shamrock could do the inventory. You're welcome, Scott. I'll help you with it.
I was going to ask Scott or Dustin, are there any issues with Mr. Klein's proposal from what we're trying to do as far as like a first step to kind of like peel away the paint, so to speak, to see what the bones look like? I know this is different than the brown house. We actually do own this one outright, so we don't have to worry about access, right? Not the city of Gallatin, don't think so. Is there any issues of be able to put this on our surplus? Somebody wants it, we're going to go to gut deals for gutting this building to clean it up? Or is it, I mean, I don't know if this is the right thing to do right now, to be honest with you. I mean, we don't know what we're going to do with something yet.
So there's just a lot of old desks and fixtures. There is some stuff that's very specialized. There's some court rotating machines that I don't think they should go to gut deals because I think somebody can use them. They're probably worth a lot of money.
Is there anything prohibiting us from doing this, or do you think?
It would follow the same suit as I believe it was juvenile court, which Ms. Norfleet did when she invited the rest of the departments to come and retrieve items that they may need. So we would follow the city suits and let the director know how we would move forward. As far as looking at the future and hiring an architect, we would have to look at and see where the budget is, and if funds have been appropriated, and if not, then we would have to come back and ask for funds to be appropriated to hire an architect, because I'm not aware if that has been done yet.
I would assume, I don't think so, but I mean, you talk about doing any type of, Commissioner Clark's second point, removing T-bar seating and panels, stuff like that. So,
Mr. Chairman, we need to be aware that there's quite a bit of property that goes with that building also.
In addition to that, the square building, or what do you mean?
Yes, a number of years ago, there was some kind of issue that came before the commission. I can't remember what it was. I know that, because I made some issue about the parking meters and the parking space there, the deceased judge, Buck Rogers, made him a little bit angry, and discussion was that, but the property of that old courthouse actually was measured in the really old fashion of poles. And when you measured that across, we were told by the people that studied that for us that we own that street back through there all the way over to, we own the parking meters, the most of the sidewalk, almost everything except the buildings that are there. So that all goes with that courthouse.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I was not aware of that.
So who's collecting the revenue off those parking meters?
The city of Gallatin. So I mean, Commissioner Jones' point, so that If the city of Gallatin is running parking meters on county property, do you know?
It's our parking meters. It's our parking meters as I see it, and that was the issue that some people got angry with me about because the parking meters, I was for taking the parking meters out. And the court system there was for keeping them in to rotate, traffic for the court, in and out.
So do you know who runs the meters? I guess, are they still
That's
active?
the city of Gallatin. Now,
Do we have any,
I don't think there are any meters. I think they have a meter, or a person go around and mark tires. It's 2-hour maximum parking around the court.
that may have taken it up after that discussion, but there were, when did if they took the meters up, are you aware, Judge, when,
Well, after the election in 2014, there's been no meters there since then.
it was before that this discussion came up, because it was previous to this last group that was in.
so does that include the parking spots on the street as well, or just the parking? So those parking spots are owned by the county as well.
It would be very easy to check, because if you check the deed to the property, you'll find that it's measured in poles, and I forget how much a surveyor pole was, but if you measured the poles in the courthouse, it went over to the sidewalk on the other side of the street. Is what we were told.
So this is pretty revelatory. I mean,
Yeah.
so what, I guess it goes, there's a question. I mean, I guess if we own the property, why is Gallatin collecting parking tolls on our property? Mr. Lawler?
I don't mind doing a title search, I just won't have an answer for you till
Next month. Well, I'll entertain a motion if somebody wants to make a motion to address what Chairman Hyde referred to as far as like getting that information.
I make a motion that we have our legal director, do a search, a title search on the deed, so that we can figure out the metes and bounds. Second.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, get that for next month to come back with. We still on, we haven't taken a vote on this main one, but. Commissioner?
I seconded the motion that Commissioner Vaughn made about the courthouse, and I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I got it ordered. So, we haven't gotten that one yet.
Right, but I thought his motion was just to.
Got the other, we're gonna do that.
I know, but I'm just making sure that my second, that I understood what I was seconding, because what he proposed was just to put things on Sheffield, but.
On the Sumner
Now we're
County
into all kinds of
surplus.
other stuff.
Yeah, no, my apologies, we got it ordered, that's my fault.
Yeah, Sumner County surplus, not gut deals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just,
Well, surplus is 60 days, is what our policy is,
Yeah.
and then after that it goes to gut deals.
Right. Right.
So, your motion was to start the process of all that excess stuff.
Doing an
Into
inventory.
county surplus of
Yeah.
whoever can use this, and come claim it. Otherwise, it goes to gut deals.
and that is all that motion.
That's it.
Okay, because then you're talking about removing ceilings and I didn't want.
Yeah, that's step 2.
No, that's not a part of it, because
Making sure.
it wouldn't be, that's why I asked the question of that.
Well, you're fine.
Commissioner, not this time. Commissioner Jones?
After we vote on their motion, are we gonna move to E? Because I've got a question I wanna ask.
Yes.
Before it gets,
Yeah.
all right,
Any more discussion on Commissioner Clark's motion?
no, I wanna ask a question before it moves on, because then I won't be able to ask a question. The, time capsule, do we know anything about that? No updates on that, Mr. Mayor, or nothing? Is anybody working on researching that, to where because we're moving towards the point of doing something that's built.
We're not right here going down, I mean, it's not going anywhere.
I know, but it's due, I mean, and I'm sure citizens want to know. So, should we, is it in our purview to ask for something to be done, or is that totally up to the judges? I know the judges were historically supposed to take care of that, and maybe they're already doing it. I just want to know.
My understanding, public reported last month, was the judges are responsible for the new time capsules, but I'm not sure like who's gonna, like Sheriff Craddock was spoke to this last month, and, I mean, I think we all agree that, we should be going poking holes and breaking stuff on the outside facade. We talked about going into the inside somehow and trying to figure it out. We could, but nobody knows the location of the time capsule. That's a problem. I don't know if there's some kind of thermal imaging that can be done, for standing buildings to be able to time.
That's what I'm asking, does this body need to direct a step forward towards finding out any of that?
I would think that this committee would take the initiative on that, that'd be my assumption, yes.
Is it something that needs to come up in a different discussion?
Well, I mean, we're talking about this building plans, so I think it's germane to this discussion.
Is it proper to do before this vote or after this vote?
It would have to be a separate vote because we need it, unless it's an amendment, because we have.
Just make it separate.
Okay, we can do it separate, as long as it's not gonna move on and not talk
The
about
motion right now is to, do item 1, of Commissioner Klein's, motion is to list everything in the building on the Sumner County surplus system, and then obviously go through the proper, policies and procedures on that. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. We'll begin that process. Scott, I don't know what you need from Commissioner Klein from that, so, or we could let you guys get started on that.
Yes.
Just need access at whatever point, Mr. Mayor.
That's already been done. So it's on the website now.
You've done inventory on everything in that building?
That could save a lot of discussion if we'd have known that.
So you're welcome to go back through it. I'll be happy to get you access to it.
All right, so,
I just gotta ask a question,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. What was that not brought up 30 minutes ago when we were talking about it?
I raised my hand and then took it down.
He wasn't even in the room.
I just think there's plenty of opportunities to interject that point all along our discussion and save a lot of time.
Waiting to get verification to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's been done.
well, we made a motion to do it, so continue access. We can verify, I guess, verify from the department amendment, so before we move forward. Mr. Jones, did you have a motion as far as like the, public square plans and other?
Yes, I'd just like help formulating the motions, because I don't know what person could research this. Maybe, Scott or Dustin's department, but they research, like, who's an expert at finding time capsules? Or
Society, they have all the information on there.
could we direct somebody to ask that question and report back to us?
I know him and I'll call him.
Okay, can you just report back to us? Does it need to be a motion or anything, or can you just bring that next time when we add it to the agenda? Can that be okay?
Why don't you make a motion?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that Commissioner Klein reaches out to the Gallatin Historical Society and find out information if they know anything about the time capsule, and bring it forward to this body so that we can move forward with trying to open it.
Second. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will keep, going to keep item G, under old business, for, Commissioner Klein to report back to us next month. Item E, discussion, vacated Gallatin Square, Old Courthouse at 100 Public Square, the water leak. Open for discussion. Commissioner Klein, you got a motion? We need a motion, please. Motion by Commissioner, Miller, second by Commissioner Jones, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Commissioner Klein.
When Scott and I were over there, we got the story from, Robert Gann. And initially, there was a leak between the backflow preventer and the meter, and it was flooding pretty good. But it was coming basically from the beginning of the backflow preventer. They fixed that, and then, they thought it was done, but there was a tiny little leak, according to Robert, with the backflow preventer. He got a rebuild kit, took care of that, and apparently it's fixed. Isn't that the way you understand it, Scott? Okay.
Is it, so it is fixed, because I mean, I know, Mayor, when we went to visit in the October-ish or whenever that was, you just made aware that day at the leak, but it was fixed, but it wasn't fixed, and that's why, because I got from finance saying, hey, there's a lot of water stuff, bills, it's like $16,000 or something.
No, Mr. Gann's,
So it's been fixed the second time.
he said that drip was not would not have created 1,600 gallons a day, so he thinks the 1,600 was the
Gallons or
previous.
dollars? You said dollars.
I thought it was like $16,000 water bill, I made a mistake on one figure, page 22. It's in your packet,
What page?
page 22. Okay, so it's 1,600 gallons every hour of every day. So this was the Tyler Julian from Gallatin Utilities, warning, the county. And,
I'm in the queue too.
and yes, Commissioner Miller.
It says, from Mr. Tyler Julian, editor at the Gallatin Public Utilities, it says on the email, we have sent a few phone calls and left voicemails to notify with no response. There's a link on your side of the meter somewhere. Who were they contacting? Or do we know?
That's a great question.
24, page 20.
So I know that, Mrs. Browning in her email said she, did not know who they had called and left messages for. And the email was sent to the AP coordinator, Mindy McCurry, who is forwarded to the maintenance department. And then be able to, find that information out, but we're not sure who was being called. That document.
Phone calls were going to the finance department, and they were not being returned. And then when the email went out, the email was forwarded to us, and that's when we first learned of it. And they took action immediately on it.
Justin, you got anything coming on that?
That one doesn't sound 100% accurate, so I'll have to address it with AP to see exactly, especially with Mindy and our accounts payable clerks, to see exactly where everything was going from. Because technically, I mean, looking at the Westmoreland bills and everything, it technically goes to the county mayor's office, so I don't know if there's something that's happened in this particular scenario, but we will report back to you on this one.
That's my understanding, it was going to the county mayor's office.
The phone calls were going to finance. They were calling on the lead.
So I guess if you wouldn't mind looking
But
at
the bills do come to us.
the bills are coming,
The bills do come to us, yes.
right? If you wouldn't mind finding out, or like from that, if he's saying that the finance department wasn't returning calls. I don't know if we need to leave this on the, old business for that versus if you wouldn't mind putting it in your report of the finance director, you can actually notate that next month. Commissioner Jones?
I would like to further, direct or request, the finance department and or the mayor's office to get together with, correcting whoever's number it should be and making sure they have the correct one on file, just so we know in the future that it is getting answered. I don't know if that has to be a motion or if we're just asking them to get together and make sure it's ironed out.
Correct.
Okay. And then the other question I had is, for the finance department, was anything done to request any type of,
Discount.
credit for some of that back? Because I know when you pay water bill, you pay water and sewer, and it obviously wasn't going to sewer, but like, did you recover some?
In our report, I would say that we got a credit.
Okay, I missed that
Do
part.
we know, I mean, 1,600 gallons an hour,
That's a massive.
so how much money was that? Do you know, what was the bill?
I don't remember the exact amount, but,
I can't imagine where all that water would have gone.
well, and I don't believe that $1,600 per hour is accurate.
I agree, yes.
There's just no place for that to go, it is floating out on the
Could be
road.
covered up through the asphalt, right?
Also make sure they didn't overcharge us. Our credit was comparable to what was leaking and what they say was leaking, and
Was there a bill for that? Finance department, you guys know, or?
There should be a bill, we'll get you a packet if it's available, or if not, we will request it.
Let's get it, if we can do that, as far as, I'm just, we're gonna keep this on old business, because it's just different words, if that's no, I'm just gonna keep this on old business, and we can talk about it. Have it-
mistakes happen, those citizens want to know that.
Whatever you guys find out, if you wouldn't mind getting to me, and I'll put it in the packet for next week, with this, this separate form. All right, I think we can move on from there. bills, I asked that last time, you know, as far as discussion for the library, pages 25 through 40, it's kind of like this was on here last month, all the funds, and I asked that, what had actually been paid for some of the items that broke, that were, since the county and the city co-own this property, and Hendersonville was responsible for half of all the bills on this property, what have they paid? And that, out of the HVAC repair and out of the elevator repairs, they only paid around $800. Which does not cover the cost of those repairs, I know for sure. So I'm not going to necessarily make a motion, or I could, and we take the funds that were for that, give to the library and use it for maintenance costs. But that's keep to the library.
Can I ask a question? I know you had meetings with the city of Hendersonville over that. Was there ever a question on, was the question ever answered on whether or not they owed for that because it was maintenance versus catastrophic repairs?
There was, Mayor Clary said that they were going to pay half of it, which I guess, I don't see that they did, but then they want that money back. That's what an email from Mayor Clary said.
They were going to pay it, but they wanted it back?
That's what I've never seen an email trail at one point. Kind of confusing. Mr. Lawrence, do you have any comments on that? Or
As far as that's concerned, yeah, they did try to claw that money back. I was just gonna say, I don't know how far you wanna go on motions this evening, because I'm still waiting on signatures from some resolutions from the last commission meeting. I don't know if that one's been signed or not.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay, but I'm just, basically, it was just for discussing this on, just those bills, but, there's not really much action to take here. Well, I'll make an action, I guess, I'll make a motion, or entertain a motion, that we send the bills to Hendersonville for what they owe us for the repairs that they have not paid them. For the, within August of 2023, County Mayor asked me to put this on legislative committee because of the confusion, or disparity in the language on maintaining this building, because for years, the AC unit had been broken in the library, and everybody's doing this, nobody's fixing it. And they were trying to say, the school board has to fix it because it's geothermal. The school board has nothing to do with it, it's the library. And so, and we had to confirm, my library director, you were there in the meeting last January in Hendersonville, you were in attendance, with myself and Mr. Sidler, that, the library director had confirmed a year ago that that AC unit had been malfunctioning or broken for years without being addressed, and could get no resolution on fixing it. Yeah. And obviously, part of it is because you co-own a building. Two things: don't ever give money to the county, and don't ever co-own property with another entity for the county. It's two bad things that are never good. So the problem is that, to answer your question, it was addressed as part of that meeting. Part of the resolution says that they're going to do the daily maintenance, like upkeep and everything. But the issue is when it comes to major repairs and breaks, the law director's interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong, anything major, as the owner of that property, the co-owners, we fix together 50-50, which is different. It's kind of like if I own a house, a rental house, I'm not necessarily going to pay to have the yard mowed. If you're there, you're going to mow the yard, because that's your maintenance. And so, or you're going to change air filters, light bulbs, as a tenant. Look at it that way. It's the best way to describe it. That's kind of how this agreement really is with Hendersonville. For co-owners, yet they're also responsible for the tenancy of the maintenance and upkeep of groundkeeping, shrubbery, whatever. And you got the Friends of the Library, it's a private entity who does things that nobody knows what they're doing from a financial standpoint as well, but Hendersonville's kind of talked about. So we're kind of unsure who's done actually what, but all I know is for major repairs, like if the roof gets blown off by a tornado, it's Hendersonville's 50% cost and the county's 50% cost.
But for day to day,
it's Hendersonville's 100%.
Okay.
That's how the resolution reads. The problem is Hendersonville, to my understanding, has not paid for the shared cost of ownership issues for a major repair for the building.
So I think I'm a second, but I want you to restate your motion.
is to basically, again, to build the finance department to find out for those major repairs that County Mayor brought up, we started in August of 2023, to try to resolve for 15 months of legislative and got nowhere with the city of Hendersonville wanted to resolve this issue. They weren't willing to resolve it. Is to how much do they owe us, or have they paid us for these major repairs, for the heating air units, for the elevator repairs. My understanding was the elevator was broken for a couple months, at least from October to December, I believe, of 2023. And that put literally the library out of ADA compliance, which technically could have shut the building down. So, are there any, maybe there's other repairs that have happened, that maybe we didn't pay for and we should have.
So, I don't know. So whatever that finding is, this motion and vote would trigger it to send.
An invoice.
I'll second that for the sake of furthering the discussion on what we do with the accepted donation. I think that has to happen, so I'll second that.
Well, that's a separate discussion right now.
Yeah, but it can't even be had until we handle it. That's what I'm saying, yes.
I'm taking that back to the table. This is strictly to.
No, I'm not amending you. I'm saying that's why
I'm going to restate the motion, have the finance department investigate, I guess, major capital project maintenance costs dealing with that I know of, the elevator and dealing with the HVAC, and did Hendersonville pay their 50% share? And if not, send them an invoice for their share.
50%.
50% of what's owed.
Less payments received.
yes.
Less payments received by the city, assuming we've received something.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just want to be clear on how this is going to be worded.
Any questions on this?
I have one question. We can't tell from the 22, 23, 24, and 25 budgets, we can't tell what we can't determine this. This has to be done by finance department, right? We can't tell from looking at these spreadsheets.
I don't understand your question, I'm sorry.
We know that they owe us money, but we can't determine it from this. It's gonna have to be dealt.
These are not, well, there is, I think, that included maintenance repair on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and I think she mentioned that my email should be in here.
Page 28 is one synopsis for
25
for 2022.
Also.
It should have, I don't know if it's the repairs. I know this is obviously all your normal maintenance ongoing costs, but I think it did actually categorize at least one or two some maintenance repairs. But I can't remember right now. This is kind of a hard copy, so I apologize. I don't have a clear answer for you right now, Commissioner Klein.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but I'm just trying to find my email. So I did ask a question back in December for all the maintenance, written this on page 39, if you look at my email, I was trying to find it. For all the maintenance and repairs of the Hendersonville Library, do we have any records of Hendersonville paying half of those amounts? And Beth responded, the only amount she sees they have paid is $840.83 in November 2023 for half of an HVAC repair. So I guess if the HVAC repair was $16.80 and change, I guess this is answering the question that they paid half of that repair. So I guess we can confirm that.
So they owe us a lot of money.
I don't know. They might owe us $2,000, $800. I don't know.
Okay.
It might not be any money, but that much money. So we should figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just trying to figure those things out because we didn't look very successful. So.
We got a motion on second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Should we? I'm just kind of going to keep everything on all business every month going forward. I'm going to keep this on all business just for reporting and keep this. So. Item G, discussion parking garage security cameras. County Mayor, you said that that's completed and those have been installed? Or? Yes, sir. All right, so there is nothing that is taken care of, so we are going to remove item G from old business. Since that is complete. Yay. Item H was a discussion for Moseville EMS station reconfiguration status in pages 43 through 49. We had authorized to, $20,000, in my opinion, to fix the problem. And I know Commissioner Klein had gone out there, and looked at the building with, several, people. The commission had authorized the county mayor for $20,000. That was to hire an architect for that process.
Yeah, we've gotten through the contracting, legal and everything, so now they're gonna start working on it.
And what was the estimate? I mean, 'cause we only approved it for $20,000, that's all we've approved. So.
Right, and I don't know what the final amount will be on the amount, they've gotta work on the project. He's confident it's gonna be well under that $250,000. That was the original estimate.
For the middle, $250,000 just to knock the door out the window. I don't understand.
Well, we'll see what the architect comes back with.
Mr. Chairman, who is the architect?
The architect workshop.
Oh, okay.
I got a question.
And I don't know what they're gonna come back with, I haven't seen anything yet.
I feel like we're talking about two different things. The mayor's talking about the original plan of extending the building and building an extra add-on to the building, and that was the $250,000, and then Mr. Klein was talking about just cutting a hole in the window and, emergency access into the room we already have. Those
Mr. Miller just made a motion for discussion.
Second.
All right, yeah. Hold on for a second. So, this is just for an architect, office. I understand that, Commissioner Klein. Can you restate for us again what your thoughts were on what it would take to actually fix the problem and how much money it would be, because it wasn't $250,000?
Yeah, when I went out there with Crossroads Architecture, we discussed all of the things that needed to happen to make those two sleeping quarters compliant to code. That's what pages 43 through 49 are all about. That's Crossroads' estimate and the work that he would have done. Now, the mayor has brought in the same people who did the Oak Grove Fire Department building and the Westmoreland. So, I don't know what they're charging us for. This was because nothing was getting done that I wanted to bring in this architect who's right in downtown Gallatin. So, the work that needs to happen there should be far under $25,000 to get the work done. Crossroads was going to do it for 13.2.
You're saying they're going to do the work, or that was?
They were going to do they were bidding the architectural portion so that a contractor could then be bid out to do the work.
Yeah, you're saying their bid was $13,000?
Just to do the architecture.
Correct.
Yes.
Not the work, but you're saying additionally on top of that, architectural fee of $13,200, I guess I see, this is on page 46.
Right.
Your discussions with these architectural firms is that it'd probably be around a $25,000
right
construction project, not a
Yeah.
Okay.
Separate from the architecture, it would have been around $25,000 or less. Was the expectation based on this quote that Crossroads, Robin E. Hood had given me. So,
Commissioner Jones.
I want everybody to pay attention here, because this is where our projects get sideways. We've got, somebody's gonna go out and bid this thing and guarantee to stay under $250,000, and I have no doubt they will come back with an awesome building or an awesome addition. But is that what we've directed to do, or is that what we want to do?
We got a policy.
Because if not, we need to rewind everything and make sure what we're sending somebody out to do. Because we want to vote on what we wanted to have quoted, not have a free-for-all on what we could have quoted. We need to put constraints on what that's going to be.
Yeah,
right now.
I agree. That's just not architects gone wild. We're filming here. This is. Yeah.
I don't want to see something come back guaranteed to be under $250,000.
I've not heard that.
I don't know that we gave that room of range. Did we
I've
ever?
only heard Commissioner Klein speak multiple times on the record from the floor of the commission that he didn't think it would take $20,000 to fix the problem. That's construction, not architecture.
But if Mayor Isbell is working with somebody already, and another bid comes back, I know the plan possible for a building that we don't own. I want to know that that can't happen, that somebody can't come in with a bid that we did not ask for. So where are we at with that? He's working with a company.
I don't have to.
He's made a
I don't
suggestion.
know if we can address that to Mr. Sittler if he has one, or to Justin or Scott if they have an answer to that question based on how this process is working. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it may be a misunderstanding. Like, if the mayor's operating on old information, then I want to know. And is that something we can just stop right now and say, sorry, that was bad information?
It's news to me on $250,000. I've never heard that before. So I don't know.
That was a preliminary estimate that was given by by Marshall when he drew out the plans. So that's where that number came from.
Okay.
What's gonna happen is y'all authorized me to go get an architect. He said $20,000 up to. Didn't say spend $20,000. He said up to $20,000. That architect will come back with plans to this committee and estimates. And at that point, we will make a decision, you will make a decision on those plans.
Correct. That's my understanding of the process. So
That's how the process will
we're
work.
not there yet. So they can come and say, give us this.
They come back with $1 million building, we say no.
We're going to tell you
You say no.
We're going to tell them we want them to do what Commissioner Klein recommended.
There could be some guidance given to that contractor, though, on an addition of a building or a window cut in this building.
Correct.
And I want to make sure that that is very pointed towards the goal.
That's why we did this policy, and the finance drew this up.
Okay. Well, as long as everybody understands that, and that's the direction we're going, then I don't have a problem.
Yeah, they can come back with what they want to, but I mean, it's like, here's your budget.
I don't want them to come back with whatever they want to. I want them, if they can't do it the way we're asking for it to be done, they need to tell us why.
Well, at this point, it's beyond our control, because we've already appropriated the money, so the county mayor's purview to do it. There's nothing I'm just telling you, there's nothing we can do about it right now, until it comes back to this committee. So, I understand your frustration. This process has been out of whack. Had we had this policy in place, we wouldn't be here right now. And now, we're in the middle of this offer phase, this transition. So there's nothing we can do until we see something come back from this architect. But we did authorize the county mayor to go out and find. That was a resolution.
Mr. Chairman, can we get a copy of the architect workshop's proposal or contract, whatever was used for the purchase order?
Justin, Scott, you guys have that, or I guess you all right, I'm gonna have, we'll keep this on old business and have, Scott get back on this next month on that. Okay, great. Any other questions? We move on? All right, item A, discussion. Are you guys okay? Can you look at the calendar to see if March 13th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. you get a joint?
That's a Thursday, I think.
And this does not replace our regular Genosee meeting.
Right.
This is an extra special call meeting, on Thursday, March the 13th at 5:30 p.m.
Is this room open?
I don't know if I'm gonna hear so.
The room's open, the board is open.
Okay, here's your question. Does anybody have any conflict? Anybody, Terry, can you make it? I can make it.
I believe I can make it.
David can make it.
Yeah.
You got a quorum. Chrissy, can you make it? All right. Thank you, Deborah.
Maybe.
So we got at least 6 out of 7, so I think we're good. All right, I'll entertain a motion to do this joint meeting. Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll do that, and that answers the discussion of demolition of the old house on Children of People Building property from Megan. We will have her address at that time. Item B, discussion of the Gallatin Library parking. Commissioner Klein, I brought this back forward for your request. Would you mind giving us a
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss. All by Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner,
I did a drawing, Mr. Chairman, didn't get it done to make copies of, but I'd like to enter it into the record. This is what I proposed many months ago. This would be a fence between the new courthouse, and this is the library. That fence would be a 6-foot wrought iron with vertical posts, and then a gate, a lockable gate. By the gate key would be held either in the mayor's office or in the library. Should never have to use that, but that would block any foot traffic that would be trying to get between the buildings by using the library parking lot.
Discourage them from public parking.
That's right. It's high enough that nobody's gonna climb over it, especially an attorney with a briefcase and a suit, so.
If I'm not mistaken, this is something that you proposed almost 2 years ago.
No, a year ago.
A year ago? Okay, I felt like it.
And I got a price for about $2,500
So,
for the thing.
it seems like a pretty logical solution, and we can just, it's a no-brainer to me. So, and I don't think we have to worry about if somebody climbs over and impales himself. I mean, don't be stupid, climb over fences with styrofoam.
They might break an ankle, maybe.
Well, you don't climb over fences and trust that.
Is there a little gate in? I can't see.
Yeah, there is a gate. It's written right there, there's a gate over the sidewalk, so it would do everything.
Aluminum or wrought
It'd be
iron?
steel, it'd be wrought iron.
Or wrought iron.
Hold on, guys. Keep it in
Yeah.
the queue. Commissioner Jones?
I just have a question. Has this been run past the commission members that were members of the, ad hoc committee to discuss this? Because I know there was some discussion about us closing that committee prematurely, but if they're okay with this, then I'm okay with that.
I ran it by them originally, and they wanted to have a gate at the parking lot that, they since found out. I was gone for that meeting. I was out of the country, but the gate at the driveway would be problematic. I don't remember why.
Yeah, so this actually, for during the day, I know that you don't want people parking in the library parking lot,
I remember what it was.
but the courthouse, because if you go and wanna walk from the library over to the courthouse, this means if it's locked, you gotta go all the way around the block in front of, and so will this be open during the day?
No, it's to discourage the point. It's to discourage anybody from doing exactly what you said. That's why we.
Well, then why have steps at the courthouse? I mean,
They don't want people in the library to use the courthouse.
well,
I remember the problem.
The goal is to stop people from parking in the Yakin Library and to force them to walk all the way around should they choose to do that.
That makes them park somewhere else to use that in the house.
That is the complaint from all the library patrons. We've got a lot of emails about this.
I didn't get them, but, I think that, for me, I've used the library and I've also used the courthouse, and that is the walkway to the front of the building, to the city. And it's I know people park there because they're too lazy to go park in the garage. The garage is sometimes always full. So I'm worried that that gate's locked and then somebody needs to get through there for an emergency. I think you need to unlock, not advertise it for foot traffic.
I mean, that argument can be made if you're on the back side of the building and you can't get around it if there's an emergency. It's a structure that's there, it's understood that it's there, but the complaint that I got, I just remembered, was the librarians, it doesn't necessarily make people walk all the way around. They may choose to walk right through the library. Then you got people who are attending court, maybe some not, some nefarious people are also walking through the library. And the issue is the librarians haven't offered solutions of what they want or given any ideas, and everything that we try to suggest, there's an issue with it because the challenge of having no parking downtown in a place where they built a massive building.
So, Commissioner Miller.
Library is a public building. Anybody can walk in there.
In the story.
Tell your story. Secondly, I've been into the library and to the courthouse, so, and go take a look in the middle of the day and see who's parking in the library parking lot. Go look at what cars are there, and you'll see who's taking up all the parking spaces.
So whose is it? Because I can't go down there.
Go see.
Police cars and sheriff's cars because they're working at the courthouse? Is it county or is it city? Well, can we put a directive out asking them not to do that?
Hold on, Commissioner Klein?
The problem with the gate at the driveway now, I remember, was after hours book drop off. You can't get through to the parking lot, you can't use the drop off, so that was why the gate at the parking lot was, they decided not to use it.
I mean, I think your solution's pretty simple. I mean, here's the problem. Not to keep beating a dead horse. If you had a ill-conceived project with ill-conceived bad project management that didn't take into consideration these things, it was brought up at the time it was voted on. Poor planning and created a problem that was warned about, and here we're having to fix this problem. Put up a gate, I think we gotta do, people want to do something. It's not a big deal to put up a gate to stop people from access. I'm all for putting up a gate.
In respect to Commissioner Janung, in case of an emergency, you run out to the street if you're on that side of the fence, and you run to the other street if you're on the other side of the fence. You're outside in the open. I mean, you can only protect people from emergencies so much.
I just think that, and I'm gonna be the devil's advocate.
Okay, I'll let you.
That, like she said, the public library is a public library parking lot. So if I go and park in the, and I'm guilty, I've parked in the public library.
You're the one we're trying to put up a fence for.
I'm an honest person.
We know who's letting you know.
I have parked in the public library, but I've gone in there to get a book, and then I made my way over to the courthouse to file an eviction notice. So it's twofold, but, you know, my problem is that you're never gonna stop people from parking in the parking lot to do other things. They're gonna, I'm serious, they're gonna go to the library to go to the
Courthouse.
yeah, or even the little shops on the square. So I think it's a lot of whiny people who just wanna fuss. And to put the fence up is just gonna make the other whiny people fuss. So you're never gonna make anybody happy. And I think it's destructive, but I don't think it was.
I agree with that. I think that it's destructive, and I think it's just something else that we're gonna have to maintain and put more money in, and darned if you do and darned if you don't. This group's gonna be mad if you do it, this group's gonna be mad if you don't. So, just more taxpayers' money, just, I think it's pointless. So,
I think for $2,500, it's worth a whack.
I think it's gonna cause more agitation.
Commissioner Joe?
I don't mind doing it and trying it, but I think as soon as everybody catches on, all you have to do is park there and walk through the library. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
I think that's great.
Justin, as a friendly reminder, you still have to get 3 bids.
We haven't got there yet. Well,
Touche.
I don't have a problem with it. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve $3,000 for a fence, or approve to pass it on to budget with a recommendation of $3,000.
I'll second it. And if they wanna shoot it down in budget, the librarians, you can put on,
Following our-
they can come talk.
RFP process. For 3 bids.
3 bids.
Well, this is an appropriation, right?
Yeah, up to $3,000.
You don't have to have the RFP yet, do you?
No RFP.
Gotta have
Just have to
bids.
have 3 bids.
But, I got a motion by Commissioner Klein and a second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
No.
Those opposed?
No.
3-3.
All right, I failed.
3-3.
Okay.
So it is off the agenda.
Well, I don't want you, I don't want to hear people complaining.
Wait, Terry,
No.
Terry, quiet,
Have you yet? Oh, we got 4-3. Thank you.
So, so if the librarians don't like this idea or have an issue, then come to budget and.
All right, items and move on to the budget. We're going to move this off to old business, our new business. All right, item C is just for information only. It's been discussed several times by Chairman Hyde. It's been discussed several times by Chairman Hyde about Gallatin not paying what they should be paying. He's complaining about it often. This is just brought to my attention on the county commission has already approved these funds. This is not new funding, this is old funding. And the county commission approved $10 million, and I didn't vote against that, previous commission. But Gallatin owes $7.855 million that they have not yet paid for this project. So I don't know, I mean, I know the budget, it's been on the budget agenda for years of Gallatin not paying for the courthouse and Gallatin not paying for the storm drain stuff. And Gallatin's not paying for 386. But I just wanted to make you guys aware as Mr. Hyde left early, unfortunately, but it was kind of his bemoaning multiple times about this that brought that up. So I just wanted that you guys to be aware of kind of where we are with that. It's out of our purview, nothing for us to do on this, but this is kind of for information only. So.
Off the agenda?
Yes, off the agenda. So we're going to move this off the agenda. Item D, discussion, new courtroom building, build out. Motion by Commissioner Miller for discussion, second by Commissioner Young. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? On attachment 56 is with Mr. Shamrock. So Mr. Shamrock, the floor is yours on this topic.
Just kind of like what I said earlier, I had initial discussions with Wendell in our legal department. Wendell and his team over at ESA are currently going through their review on their side to determine whether they want to move forward with the project or not. Hoping to hear by the end of this week whether they want to do it or not. If they do, great, we'll move forward with it. If they don't, we're going to have to put it up to bid, and I'll have those conversations about the plans with them.
I do have judges here. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules. Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We can have our judges wanted to discuss, I guess, get in for comments on plans for the new courtroom space that the county commission approved $10 million for in the last budget cycle. Okay.
Thank you. Chairman Mansfield and members of the committee, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I'm here on behalf of the state trial judges. The difference between us and general sessions, we're state, we work through the legislature, and all four of the judges have the jurisdiction to have jury trials, and that's one of the biggest differences that exist between us and general sessions court. Our courtrooms need areas for jury and technology for them. Now, I'm D.K., going for a judge, and here with me tonight is Chancellor Oliver, and also Mark Smith, our clerk and master. And I just wanted to, I'm going to be very, very brief. We have talked to Mr. Shamrock. He is doing a great job keeping me informed and everybody informed, and he's been a real blessing so far. We understand that things are moving, the progress is being made, and we appreciate that. We really do. We just wanted to let you know that we're here to support this. We want to support you all. Keep us in mind if you need anything. We'd like to work with you together on this. We know it's a big project for you. I'm sorry it's needed, but it is needed. We had no idea when this was built that we'd be getting a new criminal court judge right after we moved in. But I can tell you it's very much needed, and we're having to scramble around, but we're making do. I'm going to a courtroom over we've made it a courtroom. I've gone down to the the jury assembly room on the first floor, and we've made a little temporary courtroom out of that, and, we're working criminal court from there most every day. Mr. Sittler, I'll see you tomorrow at 9. We got a criminal court, jury trial tomorrow, and, probably take, 3 days.
I'm sure I can, act properly during voir dire.
Okay, that's good.
Well, I mean, he's kind of busy, so maybe you can find somebody else.
I got a conflict of interest. To let you know, we're here to support you. We want to work with you. I know it's a big task, but, you know, I appreciate us working together.
By the run now, we're in the process of, like, we thought we could use the plans, but we don't own them. We found out that was kind of a shock to us.
Right.
To have to, like, pay for something twice. It's kind of stupid, but I don't.
And that's what I want to ask Judge Gay. Judge, up on that floor right now, there are 3 out of the 4 areas that can be turned into courtrooms.
Right.
One is unique in that it doesn't have offices in the front. Mr. Shamrock and I went and 3 weeks ago looked at it.
Yes.
There are 2 that are finished that are identical in size to the one that's not finished. Is there anything different about that courtroom that will be done from the other 2 that are identical in size to it? Is it all the same finishes, all the same equipment?
All the same thing, and if you'll look at my courtroom, which is next to it, it's gonna be identical to that because it's gonna, the judge there has, jurisdiction to handle civil cases and criminal cases. So it will be exactly like mine. They won't have far to go.
It's just copy your
Yes,
courtroom,
yes, sir.
and it's done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thanks for running down. Okay, Mr. Shamrock, thanks for finding out, I guess, with the Wendell Brown. So do we need to keep this as an item under old business, or so we can put this in your? Yeah,
We're gonna hear from him, so it needs to be, right?
Well, we can do it under your report, or, we can, I don't think we need to have it as an agenda item at this point, because it's part of this report, but.
So we're back in session, or we're
Yeah,
going
we're back in session.
Okay.
Thanks, Chrissy. Chrissy kept David on track, I keep you on track, too. Like her cat, table. So, I don't think there's anything for us to do yet with this until, you know, obviously it's just going through that process, so it's not right and mature, so I'm gonna remove this, without objection, item D, so we will not put that back on, so. Item E, a discussion of Bledsoe Fort Historical Park sign. The county mayor provided a drawing, and, I'll make a motion for discussion. Motion by Commissioner Miller. Second by Commissioner Fine, say aye. Opposed? Mr. Mayor, do you want to say anything about this?
This is just a sign that needs to be replaced. We have an artist rendering of what they wanted to do, and, we're working with Toby. Toby gave us an estimate on doing the concrete and stone foundation, to save us money on that, and then working with CEMC to do the poles, get those donated, working with them on that. So, the rest of it, we had estimated, again, we'll have to go to bid on it, but, we've estimated, $22,200. We just rounded out to $25,000. And we've got money in the, tribal grant left for that, so we can use that money, if that passes through budget.
Any questions? Commissioner Miller?
So the sign now, it's just in a disarray, or there's not one, or?
Yeah, it just needs to be replaced.
Commissioner Jones?
Who estimated the cost of this project?
Marshall Boyd, was working with one vendor just to get us an estimate to have something to work with, and then we'll ship it out to three different bids.
I would just like clarification on the front end, just, cause I know how things go. If I'm a bidder and I hear that there's $25,000, that's estimated, I'm gonna come in really close to that 25,000. But if 25,000 was what it was before we got donated concrete and donated poles from CEMC, that cost is gonna come way down. So I just kind of would like to hear some feedback from Marshall.
We won't tell them what the price is, but
We're telling them now.
the sign was $17,000, and, the estimate from Toby on the concrete is $5,200.
The sign was 17.
Yeah.
So, I was shocked about the price. Why is it sign, is it like a marble with like blasted,
No,
is it granite or?
let's see.
Probably the same price as wood.
I mean, it can't be
It's
wood.
a rounded HED foam side, double sided with painted graphics on each side. 15,000 plus installation of 2,000, 17,000. That meets the historical overlay requirements out in that area.
So it has to go through a historical process for the specific specification for this sign.
Right, they have that historical overlay. Yeah.
That's where the price came from.
So it was more than this before the concrete and poles came in. If I understand that correct.
I mean, Commissioner Jones is asking the price.
Yeah.
No,
More.
He just gave the breakdown.
Price out there.
He just gave the breakdown, sign plus,
Well, he just said $52 or $54 in concrete is what Toby's estimated the material cost.
Yeah, Toby is estimating.
That's cost, not labor.
Let's see.
Yeah,
The whole thing, Toby was $4,800 to the $5,200 range.
17 for the sign.
That's concrete.
I know concrete's expensive, but the sign, good grief.
And that sign was $17,000 for the sign.
That's 22.2.
And you said it was high density foam painted?
Probably makes it look like wood.
This particular bid is for a routed, high density foam sign, double sided, painted graphics on each side.
Makes it last longer than wood.
Yeah, no, it's a good sign.
UV.
I mean, is it like blink your light up or anything?
No, it's not lighted.
No.
Does it have writing to it?
Non-illuminated.
No uplighting or anything.
No.
Yeah, there's probably no power where it goes.
Do we have a motion and, I guess, the request would be to send this to budget with the recommendation of using, tribal funds as a motion by, Commissioner Moss for that. Do we have a second? Is there a second for Commissioner Moss's, motion? Yeah, sure, it's not a second yet. So
Deborah,
I'll second.
second, Deborah, seconded the motion. Go ahead,
Which,
Commissioner.
I don't understand what you're taking from the travel fund, what is that?
Tribal funds is
Tribal, oh, that's in my.
grant money from the state, like $70-something thousand that the county has, I never seen the past 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it can be used for
We've used some of it.
anything,
Oh, I thought you said something.
not travel, it's tribal.
Tribal, I get it now, that's fine.
Right, but it's not, doesn't mean tribal, it's, you think of it either, which is kind of weird. So, all right.
Falls in line with the trail up there, out through there and all that. I have a property out there on the river, and that's why trail here came through there.
Commissioner Jones.
Is it making a motion to send it out to bid?
It's already made a motion, no, it's send it to budget. Budget, the motion is send it to budget. And there's a second by Commissioner Moss, a second by Commissioner Holmes.
Yeah, this would have to go out for an RFP because it's more than the.
Correct.
15. So you'd have to advertise it, do seal bids, and then open it. And then also your travel funds do have additional criteria that's set forth in it, much like our ARPA funds, so we have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves by using the language that's given to us.
Commissioner Conant.
In the private, development industry, we do a thing called value engineering. And that's something that's done to look at costs and if the materials are the best suited. It just takes the whole project, the specification, and analyzes it from a value engineering standpoint. Is that part of, do we do that at all with this? Is that part of, I didn't remember seeing it in David Lawing's new system. Is that something that we can do? I guess would be the question.
We'll have to read the policy again. I did not have to answer that question off my memory. I don't know how to answer your question.
Scott or Dustin, does that ring a bell at all?
It does not ring a
Valley Engineering? Okay, all right, well, we'll look into that.
Basically, just achieving the same purpose with a different route.
All right, we got a motion, we got a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, all right, so we'll move that from the agenda, it goes to budget. Item F, disposal of surplus county property, have a motion?
So moved.
To approve?
To approve.
Disposal meaning sending
Motion
out.
by Commissioner, Fine, and second by Commissioner Janone, any discussion? Commissioner Jones?
Just sending it out to, gov deals.
It's auction.
No, this is, well, yeah, this would be the, go through that process.
Okay.
Why didn't they fix it? It's a good truck, 2020, it was wrecked, and it runs, why didn't they fix it?
Is it total?
Is it total? So it runs,
You hit
but
a
it's
tree,
total.
right?
That doesn't say that in there.
It says wrecked but runs.
Wrecked but runs. That's probably good.
It'll still turn over, but it's not gonna go very far.
But you should say total. Because that's an issue with people buying a truck that's totaled, you know, that's a title issue.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Aye. Aye.